Oh, hello. Today we're going to be going through my tournament report for the Kill Team Critical Strike Golden Ticket event on the 26th to 27th of August 2023, and how I came dead last. So let's give you an event overview. It was a weekend-long Kill Team event, so 6 rounds, 4 on day 1, 2 on day 2. As I've covered previously on the channel, there was supposed to be another round at the end of day 3, because they originally hoped to do a 128 player event. They didn't sell that many tickets, so they removed one of the rounds eventually. It was a mixture of Season 1 and Into the Dark, which was good, and as I previously described on the channel, they were making use of the Turning Point Tactics map pack for the majority of the open board, the Season 1 boards. Playing at Warhammer World is wonderful. The staff are very attentive. The food in Bugman's is really good. I've got some words to say about the food in the staff canteen. So for those of you not familiar, when you pay for a ticket, you get lunch thrown in, but it's not from the Bugman's menu. It is slightly more cheaply produced meal from their staff canteen, but I'll get on to that in a minute. Obviously, there's a fully licensed bar with all their in-house beers, Bugman's 6X and so forth. The terrain is all lovely, and loads of event staff. I will say Elliot wasn't there. I think that's the first Kill Team event that I've been to where he wasn't helping to judge the event, which was really interesting. Each table had a board set up for each season, so there was an Into the Dark board and a Season 1 board on each table. And then each round they said everyone's doing Into the Dark this round or everyone's doing open board this round. Now that was really important for a lot of the more competitive players because there have been some mumblings and complaining out there, I do listen, in the world, for people who've gone to mixed tournaments and then have had the fortune or the misfortune to get loads of Into the Dark or get no Into the Dark on their particular path through and their particular matchups, and we know that can really skew the performance of certain teams, so it was really nice they'd gone to the extra mile and effectively set up twice as many tables as they needed, so they could easily swap between the two game modes round on round. So that really positive. Not really got a bad word to say about Warhammer. A little bit about the food in a minute, but other than that, I've not really got a bad word to say about Warhammer World overall. So I do want to have a little bit of a moan about the food. I know you're here for Kill Team stuff, but lunch was included, and if you've been to one of these events before, I think the food that they're giving to event attendees has really gone downhill since previous Warhammer World events. Previously, there's been full-on roast dinners and curries and different things. This time it was very kind of burgers, hot dogs, wraps, all pre-prepared and wrapped up and grab and go, and it was fine. My wife had a chicken wrap on the first day, which turned out to be more of a burrito type thing, but it was just packed full of plain boiled white rice, and it was advertised as a sweet chili chicken wrap, so you're expecting some chicken nuggets, loads of sweet chili sauce, and maybe some lettuce, and what you got was some chicken nuggets, loads of plain white rice, and a little drip of sweet chili sauce, and it just was a bit... I've eaten worse at gaming events, and events in general, and it's fine, and it fills you up, and it keeps you going, but it's just noticeable because previously I thought the food was really good at Warhammer World. The included lunch was really good, and it has taken a noticeable step down. So just to bear that in mind. Right, let's get off what you're actually here for, the games. So, my first game, we were playing layout number 9, Morok. You've got the full layout here from the Turning Point Tactics map pack. We were playing Loot. I'm going to get my laser pointer. So I was playing against Bart Lewandowski, who's... I put it to him halfway through the thing, you're quite a famous Kill Team player, aren't you? And he said, I wouldn't call myself famous, but I do play a lot. Bart came third overall in the final rankings of the event. So I really enjoyed my game against Bart. For all that he's a very precise man, and he had those little the movement steppers for Kill Team so you can plan out your exact path. But he didn't force me to use them. He suggested a couple of times where it was a bit unsure that, you could use these. But he didn't, insist that I play the way he was used to, which, was fine. Was actually a really enjoyable game. I have to say, I totally understand now why the Turning Point Tactics guys have put these little columns here, because for all it looks a bit weird, it does make a massive tactical difference. I think, and this is, if anything, it's a glowing review of Bart and also a glowing review of the Turning Point Tactics map, guys. This is the most fun game I think I've had on the Morocco terrain. So I really do need to look into replicating this with my, like I said before, unfortunately my plastics welded together. I scored 13 to his 23. I was quite pleased with myself, I think, after this game to go 6. I got all 6 of my secondaries. And I stopped him from quite maxing. He got 23 and not 24. And so given the big gulf of skill, I was quite pleased by the end of this game. I understand commandos. We had a decent scrap. I'm afraid I can't remember that many sort of play-by-play tactical details of how things went, but it was a really enjoyable game. I think, as is common from a lot of these, I do struggle a little bit with the Kazakin, just getting up the board and scoring the primaries. And that's where, I get held back in my box a little bit, and that's where I struggle, perhaps, with it, I think. But really enjoyed playing Bart, actually. It was really interesting. So, second game, we went into the dark, playing in Vault. Now, my opponent was Charles Shepherd, so you might recognise that name. Charles Shepherd is Can You Roll a Crit's like sparring partner. So whenever Can You Roll a Crit has a battle report on his channel, it's always, Crit or John, and then his opponent is Charles. And, Charles actually was a really lovely man and a really sporting player, and he really was quite patient. It was quite obvious that I wasn't totally... I think I played reasonably well, but I wasn't totally sure what I was doing on Into the Dark with terms of exactly how things worked and how the guard action worked and stuff like that. And he let me take back things in a couple of, there was one point where I'd forgotten to mention my eliminate guards target, and I said, oh, well, of course it was going to be that guy, and he was like, yeah, no worries, that's fine. Really sporting player. And the only reason I mention it is a really lovely guy. I think he comes across quite... I guess when he's playing on his YouTube channel with Crit, they're playing at a very high level, and sometimes he comes off as quite, like when he's playing against his friend John, quite kind of argumentative. So I went in to the game with a preconceived notion of how it was going to be, and I was totally, I nominated as one of my 2 most sporting players that I played in the whole event, because actually, really, really lovely guy. So thank you, Charles, for a great game, and a little bit of an education, I think. A bit of a weird one. Charles won his first game in round 1, and I obviously lost my first game. But now it's showing 58 players now, but there on the day there was a guy, perhaps on the first day only, but there was definitely a guy who got by. Because there was for a while it was showing as an odd number of players. So I think whatever went on with the matchmaking, I think I was the best loser, and he was the worst winner after round 1, I think. Right, so he'd won, but he was the bottom winner, and I'd lost, but I was the top loser. I think maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But for whatever reason, I ended up playing Charles, even though he'd won his first round. Really interesting game. He was playing as Vetguard. The play of the game was certainly when he... It was around... I think this is the correct map. Maybe I've got the map wrong. It's not that important. But it was around the top here somewhere, and he managed to... The Vetguard demo guy, I set him up for a really big play where I'd got 3 of my guys clustered, and I've said this before on the channel, I don't play against Vetguard a lot. So obviously I know what they do because they've been in the game for 2 years, but I've only played against them at events, and I've been to quite a lot of Warhammer events, but I've only played against them at events, and I just wasn't seeing this player was able to come in, throw the dynamite in the doorway, and kill about 3 of my guys. I think he even killed his own guy, but there was a big play with the dynamite that I just didn't see coming. Not that it's not called the TNT or whatever it is that the Vet Guard demo guy has, that I just didn't see. But we had great fun. Really enjoyed the game. Really good opponent. So I lost again as 12-22. So again, he didn't max. He didn't get the full 24 points. But yeah, 10-point gulf. But I felt quite comfortable after those. Even though those 2 games were losses, I felt quite happy and comfortable because I was playing against people that I knew were very good players, right? Because I'd heard of them, and knew the circles that they moved in, and I was quite happy with my performance at this point. Or I thought I was anyway. So round 3, back in the open world on Octarius, and I was playing against a guy. Alex Durig, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, Alex. Alex was playing Kroot. Now, the big crux of this game was if you look on the map here at Objective 4 and Objective 6, they both go under these 2 buildings that have doors. And they both got kind of gummed up with people because Kroot and Kazakhin, neither of them really wanted to be in combat. They both got gummed up with people kind of putting a model right behind the door, so that and then putting like 2 or 3 models on to try and contest the objective away from the other. And we played a very similar game. I had my sniper up here, he had his sniper up there. I chose this side because I thought this terrain here, piece here, was interesting, and I was able to sort of pre-game dash and then move and secure and get on that turn 1. But then basically, eventually I would have a model here and I would try and pull it back to here because he would quite easily kill things that put here, but a couple of times he put models out through that door and I was able to kill them. I had my plasma gunner around here and all my shooting targets. So, realistically, Objective 1 was mine for the whole game, Objective 3 was his for the whole game, and all the fighting happened. All the fighting happened really around 6 and 4. And we had these other home objectives. No one really ever moved to threaten this. So all the fighting happened against these 2 middle objectives. This was the first game where it sounds terrible to say, I felt like I should have done better than I did because I had a better grasp of the core rules than Alex did. So, for example, at one point I made it was quite a clear shot. We had a guy behind, I think it was this piece of light cover or this piece of light cover, and I had a sniper, and it was like, well, I shoot him behind the light cover, and he was like, well, he's on conceal, and I go, yes, but it's light cover, and that was somehow a shock. And also just at the start when I made a flying dash move with my scouting option, and he wasn't aware that was a flying move. But even though I had a better grasp of the core rules, I wasn't able to leverage that into a victory. And fair play to him because he did win. He won by 1 point. And the big swing for Alex that won it was the Kroot's ability to poach, to take objectives, even when they don't have more models on them. So because we were kind of stalemating like mad on both sides of this door, and I thought I was in a commanding position, in turn 3, I really felt I'd definitely won. And there was nothing he could do about it. But I just forgotten about this poach ability. So he did that. He did that big 2-point swing in the last turn. Taking it from me and giving it to himself. So fair play. Played a good game. I'm disappointed in myself a little bit. I thought this was the first one where I felt like I felt in my. And I'm not saying this to malign my opponent because obviously everybody wants to win. But like the first 2 games, I kind of took it on the chin and went, well, I played the best I can. This is the first game where I felt that I hadn't played the best that I could. And it was an open board as well. And I'm well aware that I've got a bit of a lacking in experience when it comes to Into the Dark. So, but it was a fun game and it was a really close game. And in the end of the day, I often say to people, actually, some of the best games you play, if this would have been a one-off game rather than a tournament game, it would have been one of my favourite games of all time, actually. Because when you're playing a one-off game, what you want is a close game. You don't really care who wins. You want a close game and a meeting of the minds. It's just in the context of the tournament where it was, I was a little bit disappointed in myself, my performance, but it is what it is. Round 4. So round 4 was versus Jack Buckley. Jack Buckley's a really nice guy. Really, really like playing against Jack. This is going to come off as a massive cliche of a thing that bad players say when they lose. But Jack had really hot dice. Now, I know what you're thinking already. You're groaning internally. But, like, we're talking multiple throws of dice where it was all 6s. To the point where he actually, in frustration, sort of said to me, I hadn't said a thing to him. He said to me, look, can you pick up my dice and roll them a few times to assure yourself that they're not loaded dice? And they absolutely were not. They were Forge World Horus Legion dice from the Forge World store in Warhammer World. Absolutely kosher dice, absolutely fine. But, he was frustrated with his own good luck almost. But then to add to that, I lacked a little bit of experience in Gallodark, and I think Gallodark's very formulaic, and there's a certain sort of headspace to get in where you can kind of plan it. Like, he goes through that door, and then he's going to have to come through that door and claim the objective behind him, and it was loot as well, so it was a lot of maths with action points and use of comms and things like that I just wasn't as quick with as I could have been. So I lost by 3 points. It was high scoring games, 2023. I did enjoy the game, but like I say, he made some really improbable saves, and I fluffed a couple of really quite statistically likely shooting attacks as well. But that happens sometimes. So fair play to Jack, and he was a great opponent, really nice guy, had a really good time. And that was the end of day 1. So we got two more games left to go through. Round 5. So round 5 was against Ray Rafik. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. We're on Chalnath now, layout number 1, capture again. Ray was playing Kazakin. Ray was a great guy, really lovely opponent. It was great fun to play the mirror match. Now, I basically lost this because of my own hubris. There's a couple of times where I basically got caught out. So Ray, I remember really early on, I had a model around here with a crack grenade, and Ray had a barricade on here, and he put his leader in on conceal behind the barricade, and I'm like, great, I've got Headhunter, I've got Eliminate Guards, I'm going to get the leader, I'm going to kill him dead, I'm going to get a 3-point swing. He's not, even though I've reminded him, he's not noticed that I've got this guy here. And there were 2 or 3 activations went by when I could have done that. And then Ray brought someone else round and killed my guy that was, because I kind of got into my head and went, right, well, that leader's moved now, he's activated. Killing him with the crack grenade isn't a priority, because even though this is the rubbish that I told myself, even though it's going to score me a load of points and be really important to the outcome of the game, that leader can't go anywhere. So I kind of conned myself into believing that the game state couldn't change as regards those 2 models, and sort of went, well, there are other things where I can get the jump on guys that haven't activated, because I had internalised the wisdom, you should only shoot an activated miniature if you've got nothing better to do. And there were other activated miniatures to take shots off. Unfortunately, I just hadn't seen, it's the usual thing I struggle with. There was people behind here that I lost track. Sometimes when you can't see what's there, you just lose track of what's there, and someone just came round. I forget what it was. Might have been his plasma gun. Right, just came round and got my grenade guy, and it's like, oh, why didn't I? And there was another time that happened as well, where he'd done something that was a tactical error, and rather than immediately punish him for it, I went, oh great, I can punish him for that in 2 or 3 activations time. And then he spotted what he'd done and was able to go and correct with another operative. And I really learned a lot from this game with Ray, in terms of if your opponent makes an error and you spot it, you can't just leave it there. You've got to go and capitalise on that, or punish them or make the trade, or whatever it is you're going to do, and not go, oh, well, he's activated that, because there'll be other operatives that can come in and change the dynamic on the board, which, now I'm here in my little studio office thing in the cold light of day saying that, it seems so bloody obvious. I think I come across as very knowledgeable and tactically savvy when I'm on my videos, but as soon as I'm at the gaming table, a lot of this just goes absolutely hammerhead, and I play like a fool. I do. So, but really enjoy my game against Raves. I always think one of the most interesting things you can do is play the mirror match. A lot of people go, "Oh, the mirror match." I actually really like playing the mirror match because I'm not familiar with every team in the game. There are some that I'm very familiar with, like Intercession, because Zimbad usually plays them and stuff like that. But there are some that I have absolutely blind spots for, like Abmech or Vanguard and things like that. When you play the mirror match with the team that you've been maining and practicing versus them, it elevates it a bit. It's almost like you're seeing into the world that the competitive players occupy all the time, right? You totally understand what the other person can do, and you pick up tricks straight away, like, oh, you can do that with him, well, I'll do that with him over here, and implement it straight away. I love mirror matches, and I would actually encourage everybody to have a go at the mirror match now and again, because it's interesting. I imagine if you're doing them week after week, they get boring, but I found it really interesting. And my last game was against Matt Godlington, who's also known as Amuse Brush, who is actually a member of Table Spimbles. So thanks, Matt. Thanks, Matt. Matt was playing Tau. Really enjoyed the game against Matt, right? But it definitely showcased my poor familiarity with Into the Dark. I put some figures on guard, and I thought you could interrupt a move with a guard action. So if you had a guy who was concealed behind cover and he could move to another place where he was concealed behind cover, I thought you could shoot him while he was making the trip between those two pieces. That's not the case. But Matt, great guy, I found on the channel as well, which helped, right? He took the time to explain this stuff to me and got me the rules and showed me the page. It was like, it's this. And I'm like, oh, great, no, it's that, thank you. And it was done in a really supportive and helpful way, and not in a kind of like, you muppet, it's this, And it would have been so easy last round of a 2-day event for everyone to be tired and annoyed and like, why am I playing? I mean, bottom table. Because previous to this, neither of us had a win. So, it would have been easy to be hacked off, but we had a really good time, really enjoyed playing against him. He was my other favourite opponent, along with Charles, and he was actually one of my two best painted. My best painteds were him and Jack Buckley. Those were the two that I voted for best painted. I'll explain more about that in a minute. The prizes and stuff. The game was fairly close though, 18-21. I enjoyed myself, had fun. And that's all the rounds. So let's look at the final placings. So yeah, I'm right at the bottom. My last opponent there, Matt Godlington, is third from bottom, having beaten me and not had any other luck earlier on. I just want to go down the thing. It's great to see so many recognisable names. So first place, best general, obviously we have Ace. Ace was playing Phobos. Really, really good. Apologies if I skip over some people who I don't know. Bart L, obviously my first round opponent, came third ultimately, so I can't feel too bad about that loss. And then we've got Michuez, who I believe is he the Polish number one who came in fourth, who come over from Poland. Is that guy? Possibly. And then we have Ryan from Turning Point Tactics, came in fifth. I can't wait for his tournament report on this as well. That might be really illuminating listen. Right? And then other names where I don't know where I know them from, but I definitely know the names from various places. I'm sure I've heard of people, right? Dan Barton, I'm sure I've heard that name before. Lazarus, I'm sure I've heard that name before. Right? Charles, of course, my round 2 opponent, finished 14th. And Crit, John Reese there, 16th. Funnily enough, my wife Helen played John in the last round of the tournament, but had a really nice time. He was a very focused player, but nice guy, actually. Both of them are much nicer, like friendlier, happier, kinder human beings in real life than maybe they sometimes present on their on Crit's YouTube channel. So it's important, I think, not to judge people based on how they present themselves on YouTube, right? So really, really pleased about that as well. let's go through. Mr. Hunt, of course, 22nd. The runs the London Grand Tournament. I wish I understand. I feel like there's. He puts me off participating sometimes in independent events because he pretends to be called what he's called. It's like a Bart phoning Moe's Tavern. Oh, if you say my name together, it sounds rude, and it's not his real name. I don't understand, but like he seems like a reasonable guy. Otherwise, it puts me off because but other people have told me actually he's a really nice guy. So, but he does just put me off because it's a maniac thing to do to pretend that your name is something which runs together to say a horrible word. I don't get it fundamentally. Rant over. Serkan, I'm sure I've heard that name around before as well. He's a really well-known player, 23rd. I guess what I'm saying is, I think there's a higher density of people. I mean, we're nearly halfway down where we're still coming up against people who we know he's so-and-so from this and he's so-and-so from that. So I think it was a higher density of people who are genuinely competing for that golden ticket, right? And then I'd start to lose track of the names. My lovely wife, Helen, down there, number 35th. Just beating out Ben Hodgson, who is a Roboros on the Discord, who, old friend of mine from university, who we met up with and went out for a couple of meals with, And then we're down into the 37ths. I'm just scanning down for people that I recognise. There's Ray that I played. Andy Brown, big fan of the channel, has a pretty cool Twitter, like Tech Dad Andy or something, I want to say. Other opponent, Alex, says Simon Green in 54th, who he drove Ben down, so the two of them met the two of us. And then 56, Matt Godlington, of course, Amusebrush, and then myself here at 58th in last place. No Zimbab this time. Because of what we were doing with going up and staying with my in-laws, I couldn't give him a lift, and if I can't give him a lift, he can't get to Nottingham, is unfortunately the way that works. But next time, probably, they run an event, I'll be bringing Zimbab. I'm not bringing my wife. It's just how life is at the moment, so we'll see how that goes. Right, a little bit of... This is going to be a bit strange. So, I'm trying to understand what's going on here with golden tickets. So for those of you that don't know, Games Workshop run an invitational event in New Mexico in America. And the winner of events, like leading up to that in a season, get a golden ticket, so they get invited to that event. So Ace, of course, best general and won a golden ticket. But if we look over at the pack here, section 3 in the pack, tournament format, 3.1.1, best general. The best generals will be determined by the number of victories achieved at the event, followed by the number of tac ops achieved, then by overall victory points scored during each game. Fine, and that was Ace. Ace won, and that's the ranking we've just gone through, so you can see who was, the second best general was Mikkel, and the third best general was Bart, and that's fine. And then there was best overall. So our best overall winners will be determined by a straight 33% split of gaming scores, favourite army votes, and favourite player votes. So we had these very important pieces of cardboard, and on the piece of cardboard you had for your 6 rounds of tournament, you had to nominate 2 favourite kill teams and 2 most sporting players, and write their names in, and then that went into a thing, and there were the top 3 best overall. So it was 33% determined by their gaming score, 33% determined by their how many votes they got as favourite kill team, and 33% determined how many votes they got from favourite game. So to award sportsmanship and to award hobby alongside gameplay. Now, I think that's a really nice thing to have the true Warhammer Renaissance men, the people who can excel at the game, excel at painting, and also be really genuine, lovely blokes. Or ladies, but that's really good. And what was interesting is, you've been to one of these events before. It was the best overall people that got like the trophies, the like hand carved, like with the hand grasping the chainsword, whereas best general was one of the glass trophies, like the painting people get. I think that's fine. Games Workshop want to encourage all aspects of the hobby. What I thought was a bit strange, and maybe people who are more into, like, people who genuinely think of themselves as being in the running for the Invitational in America will have more feelings about this. But I genuinely felt it was strange that the person that won best overall also got a golden ticket to go to America. Now, I don't remember the name of the guy. He was one of the Knots Kill Team guys. I don't remember who it was. Came best overall, got a gold trophy. I remember that got a silver trophy was Matt Godlington, and he only won one game. So, I mean, I certainly voted for him as both having one of the nicest painted armies that I played and being one of the nicest people that I played. I can only assume that everybody else he played also thought the same way. I don't begrudge these people their trophies. I just wonder what Games Workshop's doing with their... Because my understanding as an observer, as somebody that Invitational event in America is supposed to be about who's the best at playing the game and rolling the dice, who is the best general. And I guess if Games Workshop are going to give out a couple of tickets to people who won best overall, but all the other independent events and things are just giving them out to the best general, surely those people who are not playing at that level are just going to go over there and get absolutely tub thumped and come dead last. I don't know what that achieves, other than possibly does it deny someone else's spot? I don't want to get outraged on behalf of people that I've not spoken to, but does it perhaps rob someone else of a spot who is better at the game playing part because they don't paint their miniatures very nicely? And how, like, I think it's nice and good, and I would support giving the nicest as long as the best general gets a trophy. Everybody who understands will know what that means, best general, right? You're the best at playing the game. I think it's quite cool of Games Workshop to have the biggest and best trophies for the people that can excel in all three areas. I just thought it was a bit weird to give out 2 golden tickets. And the other thing that I wanted to I'm not so sure about this. I put this little picture down here from a game show that used to be on UK TV called The Crystal Maze. And at the end of The Crystal Maze, you had to grab golden tickets in a big dome where they were being blown around everywhere. And every golden ticket you got you a point, and every silver ticket you got you a minus point. And it sticks in my mind because I've heard people talking about silver ticket. This isn't terminology that Games Workshop uses. But my understanding is that the true golden tickets only come from Games Workshop events. And by what I mean is the ones from like this and Warhammer Fest, that's got your airfare, your entry to the event, and a room in the hotel. It's worth a lot. Comparatively, I think, given out to other independent events, certainly the ones in Spain and Poland and so on, they're termed golden tickets, but in the community they can kind of be referred to, I've seen it referred to occasionally as silver tickets. So essentially the ticket is not, it's entry to the event, and it might be the hotel room. I don't know the details, but it certainly isn't the airfare. I'm not quite sure how that works, but that's why you have people coming over. I mean, Ace, and fair play to him, came over here from Spain in August, so he's paid a lot for those, he's paid a lot to fly over in peak season, or maybe he's come a long way on the train or whatever else, I don't know. Because that golden ticket, that Games Workshop Nottingham golden ticket is actually, I believe the thing of it is it's worth a lot more monetarily than a Spanish silver ticket, we'll call it, which doesn't include airfare and things. And in that context, giving out a golden ticket to the best overall, I don't know. I don't know what I think about that. I'm sure there'll be others with strong feelings about that, so do let me know. Anyway, that's left a bitter taste in my mouth, which I'm now going to refresh myself with this excellent artisanal soda beverage. Fentimans, Dandelion and Burdock. And oh, that really is delicious. And fans of the channel know why. So I ran into the guys from Turning Point Tactics in Bugman's after the event, and they gifted me this very bottle. I don't want to get into the complex web of in-jokes, but it is my aim to derail all UK Kill Team channels into being beverage-based, one way or another. And it's the sense of community that we're building there, and the fact that people always think YouTubers are going to have to be inherently competitive. Actually, there's basically no competition in it. I want all of my subscribers to go and subscribe to them, and I hope that all their subscribers come and subscribe to me, and I hope that we can all build each other up. You know, I don't just watch one channel. I watch all of them, and I assume most of you watch all of them as well. So, you know, they were thrilled with my video review the other day with the map pack, right? Delicious. Again, thank you, lads. And, you know, it was really nice that Games Workshop made use of that. Actually, the other thing Games Workshop did at the end of the event was anybody that wanted to could take an entire deck. I've got an entire deck here. How can I show this to the camera? So this is all of the maps that Turning Point Tactics did. And in the same format as well, the Verticus ones that Games Workshop did. And that's, you know, they've always done these weird little freebies at the end of Warhammer World events. Usually they're like dice and things. But they printed enough of these for everybody to take a full deck like this. A lot of people didn't take them, I don't think, sadly. But I did make the effort of, you had to go through and pick up one page off each pile. But I definitely picked up mine. And I've actually ordered a little document case from Amazon. So I'm going to store them all separately in each thing. And then when Zimbad comes around to play a game, I can be like, oh, let's play. And then just pick one out. The only fly in the ointment here, and I did speak to Games Workshop about this, Morok Layout 3 is missing. So it goes, you know, and they went and searched around and they couldn't find it. So there is Morok Layer 3 I'm going to have to print out on ordinary paper and have one flimsy piece of paper in my nice folder of cardboard. So that's slightly a shame, but it's really nice to keep up in touch with them. You know, and the community is great. It was great to see so many people there. What a nice to see Glass Half Dead. I know you watch. It comes to Warhammer World again, Glass. I mean, you won't do worse than me. And I still come here and make videos and pretend I know what I'm talking about, and I've come dead last. Right? But we need to get a game at some point. That'd be good. Be a good thumbnail, you know. Speaking of Glass Half Dead, and some of you follow his channel might know Wes. Wes came in to see me as well during the event. So he wasn't playing in the event. He came to Warhammer World with his kid, and I'm sure he stopped to talk to some other people as well. He tried to stop to talk to me. I was in the middle of my game, round 3, and I would have turned to talk to him for 5 minutes, and our opponent was sort of like, come on, we're playing. So, but if I blanked you, Wes, that's why, but I do appreciate you coming in. I really appreciate that little community you got going and we all talk to each other. That's really positive, I think. And I want to say thank you as well to all the people that just came up and said, oh, you know, I love the content. Because it's hard, because you all know what I look like. And I don't know what any of you look like a lot of the time. So it is hard as a content creator. And you don't want to be like, oh, my name's Phil. And I never want to mention it to people when I play them in tournaments. At the end of the thing, like, oh, yeah, I've got a YouTube channel. I never want to be that guy. I do mention it occasionally. I mentioned it to one person who asked me how I painted my Kazakh. And I'm like, actually, I've got a YouTube channel. And I did a whole guide on how I painted them. But apart from that, I do really enjoy that whole community part of it. And that is the reason I go to events. I'd like to do better. I'd like this to be the low point. I mean, it can't go any lower. I'd like to do better at future events. Right. So let's talk about my growth as a player. I needed to practice more Into the Dark. I have a problem with Into the Dark where me and Zim play on a Friday after work, and neither of us dislike Into the Dark, but it's like, it just adds 20 minutes of tediously clipping together plastic walls. Right? It just adds 20 minutes of tediously clipping together plastic walls. And most evenings, neither of us can be bothered, whereas you can just put some Octarius down on the table and go and you're playing and you're having fun. Whereas Into the Dark's just very fiddly. Really nice to play somewhere where the Into the Dark stuff was already out and done and we didn't have to worry about it. Okay. I also think that sometimes you need to act decisively and stop playing 2 activations ahead. I really learned that from my game against Ray. Like, if I see something, I should go for it. Right? Even if it means that I'm attacking somebody that's activated, if it's going to get me points, and it would have been a 3-point swing, I should go for it. Right? I don't know how much playing Bart and then Charles in the first 2 rounds affected me. Possibly it did. And I think especially if you're going to go to a Warhammer World Golden Ticket event, you need to go with the expectation that, look, you might draw one of these really big players round 1, or you might draw somebody you really smash easily who it's their first game round 1, and then roll into one of these really big players round 2. And my friend Oro has a great way of looking at this. He feels like he's on a level, and sometimes he erroneously rises above the level, and he wants to lose to get down to the level. And sometimes he erroneously dips down a level, and he wants to win to get back onto the level, because his goal at an event seems to be just to play as many games as possible against different opponents that are well matched. I struggled with Headhunter a few times. So I tend to, as Kazakin, I'll always take Eliminate Guards at Headhunter, and I'll always take Faction Attack Op 1, Vital Objective. I'll take those 3 in nearly every game, and I really do struggle. I think a lot of people expect that there'll be teams out there where the leader is a buff piece, and they'll hide it at the back, and there'll be teams where I think people often expect you got Headhunter. Once they see that you've got Eliminate Guards, like, you've got that deck, you've probably got Headhunter, and they hide their leader from you. So maybe I need to change up what I tend to play. I might swap teams. I'm at. Tell me in the comments if you think this is BS, because it might be. I'm labouring under the apprehension that people have certain ways of thinking about things, of thinking about the game, and there'll be certain teams that the playstyle clicks with you or it doesn't. And I'm starting to feel like the teams that I've played seriously since the game launched, right? I've played Novitiates seriously, I've played Starstriders seriously, and I've played Kazakin seriously. And they're all quite similar. I think I need to have a decent go with a more elite team. Now, I have a Phobos roster painted. You can see it on the screen there. 20 guys, and I think I've not, since they're painted, I've not used them. So that would seem like the obvious choice, but Phobos are the most technical elite team. Maybe I want to do something else. Maybe I want to do Intercession, but my problem with Intercession is that my Space Marine army, my main one, is Black Templars, but they've got third-party shoulder pads. I've got Death Guard. If I wanted to really go back and play Compendium Death Guard, I've got Legionaries I could play. Strike Force Justarian's coming out. Hopefully soon. Maybe that'll pique my interest. Trouble is, I think when that comes out, there'll be me and Zimbad and Mrs. T.I. all going, oh yeah, I'm going to start maining Strike Force Justarian, so we'll see how that goes. The other thing that, and I'm not moaning, I think I'm a really good painter, and I always struggle to get any kind of painting award at these things, and I feel like I almost feel more inspired to work harder at the painting and the hobby side than I do at the gaming side. Because there's the look-based elements in playing games, right? There's the look of the draw of your opponent, there's the look of the dice. Painting is all on you. And one thing that stuck in my mind is everybody who won at the paint. I'm not saying I would have won if only I'd had a base, right? I'm not. But it's undeniable that everybody else had some kind of display base. So maybe I need to manufacture some kind of display. Now, I don't think these Phobos are actually good enough, having properly looked at them again. I don't think they're good enough, I think, that to warrant putting the work in and making a display base for them. Because I don't think they'd win a Best Painted Kill Team or a third Best Painted Kill Team award anyway. But I think when Strike Force Justarian comes out, if I did pivot to them, I'm planning to paint them as Lamenters. And I've got a really clear idea in my head of how they should look. Maybe I'll do a little display base for them. Plus there's only 6 of them and not a roster of 20. Yeah, so things wobbling around in my head. So let's get some final thoughts. First of all, were you at the event? maybe you're one of my opponents and you have thoughts. Maybe I've horribly slandered you and you'd like to take me to task. That's fine. Hopefully not. But share your thoughts. Share your thoughts on the food as well. Let me know what team you think I should play next. I have most teams. Like, if you think, oh, Phil, I've watched all your content and I think you do really well with Hadmech or really well with Thousand Suns or some other thing that I haven't contemplated, then give me a shout. I'm not saying I'll follow your advice, but I'll certainly read it and mentally chew it over. Or maybe you think I should just persist with the Kazakin and all this, or go back to the Novitiates, or go back to the Star Striders. All these ideas have merit. I think a lot of the problem as well is I managed to go through and I didn't play against a single intercession team. And everyone will tell you, oh yeah, Kazakin are really good into intercession. And I routinely just played, what did I play? Kazakin, Vet Guard twice, right? Commandos. Can't even remember the rest of the teams. Tau, Kazakin, Vet Guard twice, Commandos, Tau, and Kroot, right? None of those are Legionaries or intercessors or any of the things that Kazakin are supposed to be good against. Then again, I play against Zimbabwe's intercession a lot of the time and don't win often, so I don't know. What else to say? Hopefully this is going up on Sunday. I'm recording this on Thursday because I'm going to spend it's my birthday on Saturday, and I'm going to spend about 2 days just playing Starfield and coiling into a ball. So this is being done in advance. But of course, if you're a member, I'll get to the sales pitch in a second, but if you're a member, you're watching this early. So this will come out on Sunday, unless Games Workshop pushes out some really awesome pre-order stuff on Sunday, and then I'll bump this till later on. But the key thing is, assuming it's not yet been Tuesday, I will be live streaming again on Tuesday as well, so please pop into the live stream. And I say cheers again for the delicious beverage from my friends at Turning Point Tactics. I appreciate that. I will enjoy that in a moment. A big thank you to my members who financially support me, who will get to see this video early. And a special thanks to Nightfall_EDH for subscribing at the highest tier and therefore winning himself a shout out at the end of every single video. I hope you've enjoyed. It's been rather a long, rambly one. Okay, I needed to get a lot of things off my chest. I really look forward to reading your comments if you have them. And cheery bye, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye.